Millions of people watched Everybody Loves Raymond in the 1990s, joining the Barone family in laughter. The show quickly rose to popularity. Fans were immediately won over by the show's warmth and wit, which instantly made it a classic. On TV, there was no shortage of humor, but the real world was frequently more nuanced. During filming, Patricia Heaton, who portrayed the adored Deborah Barone, maintained a noteworthy secrecy. We'll be revealing some of the darker secrets in this film that the cast probably hoped to keep under wraps. The episode's authors drew inspiration from real-life events. Like any good comedy, the show was fictional, yet each episode contains real-life tidbits. Philip Rosenthal, the show's creator, acknowledged that most of the material used to produce each episode of Everybody Loves Raymond was derived from staff or crew-related events. Amy, the girlfriend and ultimately wife of Ray's brother Robert, was portrayed by Monica Heran. However, Monica was also Rosenthal's spouse, and many of the disputes that Amy had with Robert were exchanged between Monica and Phil. The name of Ray's twins was changed following the pilot episode. The show already had a lot of real-life inspiration. Arguments and personal experiences were interwoven throughout the program, and Ray addressed everyone by his first name. For most of us, the family therefore started to feel quite genuine. However, Ray Romano had one boundary he was unwilling to breach. The Ferreira triplets portrayed the twins, Matthew and Gregory, in the pilot episode. However, Ray requested that the names be partly changed because those were the names of his twin sons. Sullivan and Sawyer Sweeten portrayed Michael and Jeffrey, respectively, in the second episode. When they first started, Brad Garrett didn't have much faith in Ray Romano. It would be reasonable to assume that there were reservations about Ray Romano's acting skills, given that this was his first significant break in the film industry. Additionally, Garrett discusses some of the uncertainties in his work. Garrett acknowledges that he had reservations about working with Ray because he thought he wouldn't be able to hold his own in a television program. Ray Romano might ruin the program and take the entire cast with him. That was the danger. Fortunately, Garrett's worries were unfounded, and the show was an immediate success. A rift among the cast was caused by Romano's paycheck. Even though Ray Romano had a crucial role in the program, it wouldn't have existed without the rest of the family. Thus, it makes sense that Brad Garrett became upset upon learning of the enormous salary discrepancy between Ray and the other cast members. While everyone else was making about $160,000 per episode, Romano was earning over $1.8 million. In an attempt to address this and ensure equity for all members of the cast, Garrett organized a walkout in 2003. After 2 weeks, the actors received promises of syndication royalties totaling an additional $20 million for each of them. Ray Romano was not immediately drawn in by the show's title. Romano claims that the show's name originated from a snide comment made by Ray's real police brother about how everyone loves Raymond. Although the comment was initially used as the show's title, it was originally intended to be replaced with a more fitting phrase. However, the term remained and gained popularity quickly after being adopted for the pilot. Romano was concerned about critics, but the show's title didn't draw any offensive remarks. Instead, it became a common expression in many homes during the 1990s. The program mentioned Patricia Heaton's real father. Chuck Heaton has been a well-known sports writer for more than 50 years, having worked for the Cleveland Plain Dealer. He is also the father of Patricia Heaton, who plays Deborah in Everybody Loves Raymond. Raymond works as a sports writer on the show, which is a coincidence. These parallels made it simple for the show's writers to introduce Patricia's biological father inadvertently during a conversation with her television spouse. Deborah says in one episode that Chuck Heaton is probably Raymond's biggest rival. Was there an Easter egg hidden there that you noticed? Romano's real brother didn't think his TV brother was the greatest. Using real-life inspiration paid out for most of the show's run, but not everyone was a fan of everything. For example, during the run of the show, Rich, Ray's true brother, was also a police officer. This was consistent with Robert, Ray's TV brother, who was a cop, though not always the greatest one. Additionally, Rich would endure jokes from his coworkers about things that occurred on the show. Well, my brother he is a retired cop now, but at the time he would take a lot of stuff from the other cops, Ray previously stated in an interview. They believe it to be a documentary. We nearly got a Robert Spector spinoff show. Raymond's charming, eccentric brother was named Robert, and although every member of the family had distinct qualities that endeared them to us, Robert had a special position in the hearts of a great number of admirers, and obviously in the minds of the show's makers as well, since once Everybody Loves Raymond concluded, they had a brilliant idea for a spin-off program. The plan for the show was to track Robert as he chose to go to Philadelphia and pursue a career as a gym teacher. Phil Rosenthal presented the concept to CBS, but an agreement was not able to be reached. That alone could have made for some fantastic television. Patricia Heaton had 2 covert pregnancies throughout the program. There are numerous difficulties in the acting business, but probably none more so than concealing a pregnancy while a sitcom is being filmed. While appearing on Everybody Loves Raymond, Patricia Heaton, a TV mom of 3 already and not likely to desire any more children as Deborah, became pregnant twice. Heaton and the producers had to attempt to disguise the pregnancies because there was no way to write them into the program, unlike some actors who can do so. The standard tricks were employed, such as the big props in front of Heaton, the loose clothing, the astute angles, etc., and they undoubtedly succeeded. Hardly anybody was aware of Heaton's pregnancy. When the show debuted, Brad Garrett struggled with alcoholism. Brad Garrett described himself as a highly functioning alcoholic during the early stages of filming Everybody Loves Raymond. He claimed to consume alcohol daily, utilizing it as a kind of protective mechanism against circumstances in his life that were beyond his control. In When the Ball Drops, Garrett shares candidly about his life and all of its struggles. He claims to have understood that if he didn't get the alcohol under control, it would kill him. Thus, Garrett ultimately got treatment to quit drinking in 1997, right before the final episode of the first season of the show. Maggie Wheeler was almost cast to play Deborah instead. Fans of Everybody Loves Raymond are familiar with Maggie Wheeler from her role as Lind, the Barone's family friend. However, she didn't go for that job in her first audition. Her goal going into the auditions was to play Raymond's wife, Deborah. She also nearly got the role. However, CBS executives decided that Wheeler was too ethnic to play Deborah. Therefore, Patricia Heaton was cast in her place. However, they offered Wheeler a reduced role because they didn't want to lose her for the show, and she accepted. We're all happy that she did too. Peter Boyle remained silent about his cancer diagnosis. The father of Frank, Ray, and Robert, Peter Boyle, received a cancer diagnosis in 2002. When he learned that he had multiple melanoma, he chose not to inform the other members of the crew. Rather, he told his family and a select group of cast members. He did confide in his on-screen spouse, Doris Roberts, asking her if she believed he ought to tell everyone. "No," she counseled him, "you don't need to be treated like a dying man by them. You must have them right for you." Boyle carried on with the show until his untimely death in 2006 at the age of 71. Too busy for Doris Roberts to want her part. Doris Roberts enjoyed professional success in both theater and television. The actress said she was too busy to try out for the part of Marie, Raymond and Robert's mother, when producers asked her. She had no energy to try out for anything else because she was too busy directing a play. Despite her hectic schedule, she went to the auditions after being persuaded by the producers, and she was chosen over hundreds of other actors for the role. Naturally, at this point, we could not picture anyone else playing the witty mother Marie on Everybody Loves Raymond, who constantly kept everyone in check. Patricia Heaton found it difficult to part with her television family. Any TV show will eventually come to an end, but after 9 years of involvement, it can be quite difficult to leave. Patricia Heaton was so moved by the show's conclusion that she sobbed for a large portion of the final rehearsals. Heaton eventually lost her voice from crying so much over the show's finale. Due to her inability to perform her role, the last episode, which was scheduled to be filmed in front of a live audience, had to be postponed until Heaton recovered her voice. The greatest inspiration was Ray Romano. Ray Romano's real life served as a very loose basis for the television program. He developed into the primary character, Raymond Barone, a sports writer who shares a home with his twin boys, wife Deborah, and a small daughter. He lives directly across the street from his parents and his brother, Robert, a police officer. Throughout the show, Ray gained notoriety and became well known. For his role in the program, he was awarded an Emmy in 2002. Additionally, he had appearances on Becker, The King of Queens, The Nanny, and Cosby as his character Ray. Real arguments occurred on set as well. Some genuine disagreements were occurring behind the scenes, even if the humor in the show was derived entirely from family life and frequently lighter arguments. Many of these originated with the opposing political ideas of Patricia Heaton and Peter Boyle. Boyle was far more liberal than Heaton, who was rather conservative. The rest of the cast was frequently uncomfortable as a result of the two's intense arguments. Nevertheless, there was a familiar affection on the set, and all of the actors conveyed their respect for Boyle upon his passing. It seems Patricia Heaton isn't such a great boss. Patricia Heaton is a busy mother and accomplished actress, so she needs aid to get through her days. However, it appears that she may not have the finest reputation for employing people. Heaton was sued in 2009 by Jennifer Lee, her former assistant, for unpaid wages. Lee filed a $7,425 lawsuit against her former boss, Heaton, alleging that she had forced her to work overtime without getting paid for it. Although neither Heaton nor her attorneys spoke much about the case, Lee stated in hers that if the rich and famous wish to employ individuals to cater to their every need, they must also refrain from violating California's wage and hour laws. Romano has continued to work since the show. Romano has performed in several TV series after the conclusion of the program, and he even provided the voice of Manny, the cuddling and endearing creature from the animated Ice Age films. He plays Rick on the television series Get Shorty starting in 2017 after making 3 seasons of appearances on Parenthood. Along with creating and starring in Men of a Certain Age, Romano put his wide range of talents to use. Romano has starred in several movies, such as The Big Sick and the Netflix crime drama The Irishman. One of the Sweeten twins was never able to celebrate turning 20. Both the actors and the audience adored the twins who portrayed the Barone boys in the production. We got to witness their development from adorable toddlers to naughty young lads. However, the Sweeten family tragically lost one of the twins to suicide 11 years after the show concluded. Family members described Sawyer Sweeten as happy, upbeat, and loving, and he never seemed to exhibit any signs of depression. It appears that there was a shift in the final week of his life, but it happened too quickly for anybody to step in and stop it. Sadly, Sawyer took his own life from a gunshot wound he had self-inflicted 2 weeks before turning 20. Peter Boyle played Marie's husband. Frank was the other half of the Barone couple. The program would have missed a certain something without this sardonic Army veteran, even though he came out as hard-headed and unyielding. We're convinced there was genuine love there, despite the fact that he gave his wife a lot of trouble and said he only married her for her cooking. A marriage like Frank and Marie's was something you would only anticipate from a long-term partner. Marie mentions in one episode, "We've been married for 46 years. We've experienced both highs and lows." Frank responds, "What day was the high?" In 2006, the world also lost Peter Boyle. Boyle was diagnosed with bone cancer in 2002. He persisted in acting in the production and did not allow his cancer to end his career. Unfortunately, Boyle didn't have much time left once the play finished in 2005. The actor did feature in the posthumously released film All Roads Lead Home, which came out in 2008. In 2006, Peter Boyle succumbed to heart problems and cancer. The world lost a brilliant actor at the age of 71. but he had made the most of his years. Patricia Heaton performed as an anxious wife. Raymond's hilarious wife, Deborah, had to deal with her in-laws residing so near to her and being present all the time at her house. As with other 90s sitcom wives, Deborah is a stressed-out, overworked, and underappreciated mother of three. During her tenure on the program, Patricia Heaton received multiple award nominations for her deft portrayal of the role. For her performance, Heaton was named Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series in 2000 and 2001. It's interesting to note that from 1999 to 2005, she was nominated for the same award every year, even though she only won twice. Patricia Heaton went on to play another sitcom mom after the show. Patricia Heaton was distraught when Everybody Loves Raymond ended. However, she quickly fell in love and became attached to another TV family. In the middle, Heaton adopted the character of Frankie, the Heck family's mother. The actress portrayed her new character from 2009 till the conclusion of the show in 2018. Since then, she has penned a book and volunteered her time and expertise to support causes that are near and dear to her. In 2019 and 2020, Heaton also starred in the television series Carol's Second Act. Robert Garrett's adorable brother was Brad Garrett. As the taller, more eccentric older brother of Raymond Barone, Brad Garrett joined the cast of the program. Although Ray's real police brother served as the inspiration for the role, Garrett added his unique touch to Robert. It did take poor Robert some time to figure things out in life. At the beginning of the show, Robert was living with his parents and struggling mightily in his romantic life. But as time went on, and Amy entered the picture, Robert at last discovered the life and love he truly deserved. When Raymond was finished with Everyone Loves Garrett, we kept laughing at his jokes on our screens. Brad Garrett's career in sitcoms was far from over with the conclusion of Everybody Loves Raymond. Because of his performance in the TV series Gleason, he received an Emmy nomination, and later during his appearance in the sitcom Till Death, he once more lit up our televisions. In addition, Garrett provided the voice of several beloved animated films, such as Finding Nemo, Tangled, and Ratatouille. In my opinion, Garrett's romantic life was nearly as unfortunate as his persona. He felt like a failure after his first marriage ended. However, he quickly fell in love once more and proposed to his girlfriend, Isabel Quella. Marie was an overbearing but loving mother that Doris Roberts gave us. Without Marie Barone, the mother who was so domineering, invasive, and all-consuming, the Barone family just would not have been the same. Raymond and his family lived directly across the street from her, and she kept all of her boys in line. Furthermore, Doris Roberts performed the role flawlessly. On several occasions, Doris' sharp tongue and candid remarks made her the star of the show. When it came to her kids, she had no boundaries, which Deborah in the show had to learn to deal with. Regretfully, Doris died in 2016. Roberts had a career spanning more than 60 years that was extraordinarily successful. She starred in TV shows and movies for the majority of her adult life, building a great reputation for herself. Roberts received a Screen Actors Guild Award and 5 Emmy Awards in her career. Roberts continued to act in television series and films after the show ended, such as Mrs. Miracle and Medea's Witness Protection. At the age of 90, Doris passed away in April 2016. As the eldest Barone grandchild, Meline Sweden. Allie Barone was named after one of Romano's daughters, daughter Allie Romano. She was the family's eldest child, only granddaughter, and only niece. In the program, Allie is a kind little child, but like her grandfather, she can also be obstinate. In the program, Allie transitions from childhood to early adolescence. In real life, as well as on the program, she matures elegantly. The character's actor, Meline Sweden, is the real-life sister of the twin brothers who portray Raymond and Deborah's sons on screen. Meline Sweden spends less time in front of cameras these days and more time on stage. Meline continued acting after the show. She appeared in episodes of Lucifer and Grey's Anatomy. Additionally, Toy Story 2, an animated movie, featured her voice. However, it appears that Meline loves the stage the most. She has a long history in theater and met her spouse while performing. Now that Meline is happily married and leading a full and contented life, she appears ready to start a new chapter as she approaches her 30s. One of the twin boys on the show was Sullivan Sweeten. The Sweeten twins, who were also Meline Sweden's, Allie Barone's, real-life brothers, portrayed the Barone's sons. Sullivan portrayed Michael Barone, the identical twin of Jeffrey, who was his real twin. Even though it's difficult to tell the boys apart, they form the ideal twin pair addition to the Barone family. On the show, the boys go on adventures together virtually all the time, and characters frequently have to ask the boys to raise their hands to identify one another. Sullivan now leads a secluded life and is rarely seen. Sullivan isn't extremely active on social media, and not much is known about his life after the show concluded. He occasionally appears on his sister's social media accounts, but he keeps to himself otherwise. After Everybody Loves Raymond, Sullivan and his brother had a few brief roles together, but their roles decreased as the boys grew older. In 2015, he lost his twin sibling. The other twin boy on the show was Sawyer Sweeten. Sawyer Sweeten, who portrayed Jeffrey, was opposite his brother Sullivan, who played Michael. We said earlier that it was difficult to tell the lads apart. They amused the cast and fans for the entire 9-year duration of the show in a way that only young boys can. Even though the children weren't in every episode, Sawyer and his brother had a significant role in the dynamic of the program. As the show goes on, it's incredible to watch the twins develop from toddlers to 10-year-olds. In 2015, Sawyer Sweeten killed himself. When Sawyer Sweeten was barely 19 years old, his life tragically ended. The young actor's family was startled when he committed suicide because they didn't see any signs of depression in him. When he passed away, his real family and the actors who portrayed his TV family were devastated. Sawyer's sister and twin brother dedicated a theater to his honor 4 years after he passed away. Though the reasons for Sawyer's decision to terminate his potential life early are not well known, we do know that those close to him were deeply affected. Peter Boyle was in the ideal frame of mind for his interview. Peter Boyle had to play a specific part of the grumpy old man during his audition for the part of salty dad Frank Barone. Fortunately for him, the day he had allowed for just the perfect kind of mood to help soar through his audition. Before he even tried out for the part, Peter had to contend with parking places being out of sight, going into the wrong building, and fighting his way into the studio. Boyle was able to land the character that we all came to love because of that attitude and his exceptional acting abilities. The wife of the show creator, Monica Heran, was Amy on the show. Amy, Deborah's best friend, entered the program and won over old Robert's heart. The couple's relationship was rather erratic at first, but it eventually ended in marriage and a remarkably stable happily ever after. The families of Amy and Robert didn't get along, so following their marriage, the couple was forced to live with Robert's parents. Not everything was roses, of course, but before the show concluded, we got to witness them move into their apartment, and it was obvious that Amy was just what Robert needed. Monica continued to appear in cameo roles in other shows. Heran is also the spouse of Phil Rosenthal, the creator of Everybody Loves Raymond. Recall that she is the other side of many of the real-life disputes that served as a basis for the program. They have 2 kids together and have been married since 1990. Heran hasn't performed in many more shows since the end of the series. However, she did make appearances in episodes of television programs such as Better Things, The Bold and the Beautiful, The Middle, co-starring Patricia Heaton, and Enlightened. Eventually, no more suggestions were available to continue the show. In an interview, Rosenthal revealed that he would instruct his writers and performers to go home, have a fight with your wife, and come back in and tell me about it, to spark their creativity and produce more episodes of the program. However, marriages would not have survived if it had continued indefinitely. The cast and writers had run out of fresh material after 9 years of the show. It was decided not to run out of steam and end on a depressing note, but to close the show while they were still winning. Nobody can argue that the show ever grew stale or worn out, even if it was sorry to see it stop in 2005. Ray's breakthrough performance was on David Letterman's Late Show. Before landing the renowned role of Raymond in Everybody Loves Raymond, Ray Romano performed stand-up comedy. However, this wasn't quite covering his expenses, so he also had to work as a futon delivery man to augment his income. While he waited for his big break, Ray had been performing stand-up for 12 years. Eventually, he received an invitation to perform a set on David Letterman's The Late Show. This was Ray's chance to truly show off his abilities, and Letterman's firm was so impressed with him that they contacted him later to say that they would like to make a program.
If you've watched the video till here, that means you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notifications bell icon